All right. So we have actually seen transformation in terms of when you're looking at the graphs and stuff like that. When you're looking at a function, you know what translation mean, you know what reflection mean, you know what dilation mean. All right. Now what we're going to do is to formalize the learning of this, and at the end, the last lesson, which is next week after the test, we're going to put everything together in a set way of doing transformation. All right? So today is pretty much, I would say, pretty straightforward. You've got to think about the understanding of graphs of function to generalize and describe the transformation f(x plus c) and f of x plus d. So I got to make it a very clear distinction of this c is not the constant. All right, d is not a constant as well. It's just a transformation. All right. So you need to be able to solve algebraic problems involving horizontal and vertical translation. So today, translation is up and down, left or right. Okay. Now, first one, linear transformation. If you think about the function f of x, a linear transformation of f of x is any changes in the graph that moves all point of a line. So the whole parabola, the red parabola, the whole thing will be moved to the, will be transformed to the blue parabola. It could be dilation, wider or smaller. Translation is just basically the whole thing moving left or right, up and down. It's still the same shape. Dilation will change its shape slightly. All right? And then reflection is just either reflect by x-axis or by y-axis. All right? The axis of reflection will be x or y. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Now, horizontal translation is basically moving in the direction of the positive x-axis. In this case, it's moved by 6 units. If you look at that, here you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. In effect, 4 units, not 6 units. If I've done it correctly, it is 4 units. Both of them should be 4 units. My fault. 4 units. All right. So it is parallel to the x-axis, but we describe it in such a way that from red moving to the blue line, the parabola has moved in the positive direction of the x-axis by 4 units. Always remember, the units is important. And again, it has moved down or moved in the negative y-axis, the direction of the negative y-axis by 4 units. So this is how you describe it, formalizing how you're going to describe the translation. All right? Remember, translation moving in the direction of positive or negative x-axis, positive or negative y-axis. Yep?
So you can say both positive y-axis and right.
Well, technically you should use in the direction of the positive x-axis. However, if you use right, a lot of books will use right. I will accept that. Okay? Up and down, that's fine. I mean, technically it's not right, but book uses that, so I will have to accept that. All right. Now, so for horizontal translation, the transformation f of x plus c generalizes a horizontal translation by c units. All right? So c is a translation of the x-axis. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to use A, B, C, and D. You must remember C is translation of horizontal translation. All right, by C units. So positive C is in the direction of the negative x-axis, which is to the left. All right, like I say, if you describe it to the left, I'll accept it. If negative C is in the direction of the positive x-axis, to the right. All right? So, if you look at example 1, how would you describe example 1? So, in the direction of the negative axis. Alright, so fx is translated to f of x plus 4 in the direction of the negative x-axis by 4 units. Alright, I'm lazy, I put down minus negative. In the exam, please write it out properly as negative. Alright, not many, I don't know whether I'll be marking these questions. In the exam, we've got set questions to mark. Like for example, I'll be marking a whole lot of question 4 to 6 or whatever. So please make sure that you write it out properly. Okay? Now the next one is basically the same idea. You're thinking about now x cubed. This time is x minus 2. So what happens? Left or right? Right. So it's in the positive x direction. X-axis, this is in the direction of negative x-axis. So translated in the direction of the positive x-axis by 2 units. Alright? Always mention the direction and mention the number of units is translated by. Alright? So now this is horizontal. The next one is vertical. D. Plus or minus. So it's either up or down. Positive D, positive y-axis, negative D, negative y-axis. Straightforward? Yeah? So this is the most basic translation. Describe. How would you describe example 3? Translated in the direction of the negative y-axis by 1 unit. Now, example 4 is the interesting one. Have a look at example 4. What happened to example 4? You are now thinking about both translating in the x and the y direction, correct? So here, you've gone from x plus 1 all squared to x squared. What does that mean? Has it moved to the right or to the left? Yep, because it's taking 1 away. So you're moving, it's from, think about it, if this is plus 1, you're in a negative 1, and you're moving to the right by 1 unit, correct? Yeah? What about for the y-axis? How many units has this moved, up or down? Sorry? Up by 14 units, because you're going from minus 8 to plus 6. So, the way you describe it is translated by 1 unit in, or translated in the direction or whatever first. It doesn't really matter, in the direction of the positive x-axis and by 14 units in the direction of the positive y-axis. Alright. Now, in the exam, you'll be asked to describe. So, you must use the word translated. You must use the word, okay, left or right, or in the positive or negative direction. You must tell us how many units. The next one is interesting. Sometimes you are given something of a function, and you are expected to actually plot the function, which I will show you at the end of the conclusion of this series of lessons. Alright, at the end, you'll be given a function, and you'll be asked to do the translation, or translation, dilation, as well as reflection. correct? So if you look at something like this, for part A, you know that fx plus 1 means that it's actually moving up, correct? In the positive y direction by 1. So if you need to draw things like this, in this case, use all these points to help you. You know what the exact point is. Alright? So you are moving from the origin up to this point here. Correct? By 1. From here, minus 2, you're moving it up to minus 1. So what you can do is, once you know those 2 points, the other one you can do is this point as well. That point going up. So you've got 3 distinct points you could use. And of course you must make sure that this is an open circle, this is a closed circle. Alright? This point is not included, that point is included. So you mark, can you try the second one please? Plus 2. Where does it go? Left or right? Second one is left or right? It should be in the negative x axis. So if you draw it correctly, it should be something like this. Right? So what I do is I always use the points that I can draw the straight line. So I know this point, I can join that point and draw it out. Now make sure that you've got a ruler in the exam. And finally, you're combining both. So when you're combining both, you can see that I've translated it in the negative x direction by 2 and then in the negative y direction by 1. This is still pretty much straightforward. Wait till you get everything included. Alright? Last but not the least, let's try this. What I would do is something like this. I will look at the point. I'm going to start off with this point, and this point, and perhaps this point. Alright? Those 4 points are pretty clear. They are right there. You can tell the coordinates. So I'm going to move everything down by 1. Alright? So that will be the first one. Red line. Alright? Approximately, that is the translation. Not that I've done it very well. Alright, next one. Using the same 4 points, I'm going to move it. Do I move it to the right or to the left? Right, by 3. So, 3 points. 3. Alright, so it will become something like this. Alright, so that's a blue line. And then the next one, we are combining everything. So I'm going to go across 2 and up by 1, correct? Use the recognized point. You can use those, go across 2 and go up 1. Across 2 and go up 1. Go across 2 and go up 1. Go and then go across 2 and go up 1. So it will look something like this. Okay? I mean, you will not be asked to draw something like this you will be asked to draw only one transformation. It will not be 2 or 3 transformations in one graph. Alright, so today the lesson is pretty straightforward. It's just basically translating left and right, up and down, that's all. You've got some exercises to do for translation. And like I say, I've released the test paper. All right, I'm going to stop here.